Adani Group companies continue to slide for a third straight session.
$6 billion gone in a day.
Short seller Hindenburg Research accusing the conglomerate of share price manipulation and fraud.
Using shell companies to pump up the stock of Adani Enterprises.
The report is a malicious combination of selective misinformation, baseless and discredited allegations.
India's Adani Group says it's exploring legal action against a US short seller, Hindenburg Research.
He says Hindenburg is making an attack not just on the company, he's also making an attack on India and its growth ambitions.
The fundamentals of our company are very strong. We will continue to focus on a long-term value creation and growth.
In 2022, Jeff Bezos lost his title of the second richest man on earth to Gautam Adani. You might know Adani as the man behind the roaring money-making success of the Indian conglomerate, the notorious Adani Group. The Adani Group, or the Adani Enterprises by the way, has their hands deep in a dozen major companies all over the world. Infrastructure, airport, roads, water management, data centers, mining, oils and foods. There isn't an industry that Adani has left untouched. It's India's largest port operator and in 2021 alone reported sales of $9.3 billion. But Adani wasn't a name that people outside of India would have been familiar with, until Gautam Adani got accused of pulling the biggest corporate con in history. It was a typical morning at the Adani Group head offices when they got hit by the most frightening blow that any corporation fears. After 2 years of extensive research and digging, Hindenburg Research reported on the company's corporate fraud and stock manipulation. That's one way to kickstart your day. Corporate fraud and stock market whistleblowers are common enemies of MNCs like Adani Group. But Hindenburg isn't your average small-town investigative venture. When a company responsible for devaluing the Nikola stock publishes a public research report on your financials, you simply can't take that lightly. Plus, Hindenburg has a history. Not only it brought down Nikola's stock by 40%, but also convinced the SEC to open an inquiry on the company. The invincible CEO, Trevor Milton, had to resign, and the company is now dead. All of that through a single open domain research paper. Now, when all eyes are on Gautam Adani, the man who shook the US market by surpassing Amazon, you just can't look away. Especially when the research company knows a thing or two about the expose and kill game of the corporate world. So far, both of the parties are out on the legal fronts to prove each other wrong. That bit was expected from the get-go. But as always, there's one side that is taking the most heat from the exposure. Adani Group is trembling under the pressure of serious allegations of corporate fraud and stock market malpractice. By all accounts, the content of the report has hit the group on all fronts. All of its major 7 companies are currently being reassessed in the global market share. There's no doubt that the research report is devastating for Adani's market value and the international corporate lobbies they had banked on. The report entails the corporation's network of shell companies and offshore accounts that hold its largest public stock value. For years, the Adani family members have moved money around by defrauding the balance sheets, a financial crime that should delist them from the Indian market. As far as any large-scale corporate fraud goes, there's always a criminal web that has managed to stay undercover from international financial crime agencies. That doesn't mean that whistleblowers can't trace them back to illegal investment flows. In the case of the Adani Group, a big fish like Elara took the bait. With the help of Elara, an offshore fund management company, the coveted Adani accountant was able to concentrate more than $3 billion for his employers. $3 billion. When a former employee of Elara was able to cooperate with all of the concealed information, it was obvious that Hindenburg hit a jackpot. That's where the stock market manipulation allegations gain momentum. Hindenburg was able to link the infamous Elara with internationally recognized financial crime fugitive Dharmesh Doshi, the notorious king of stock manipulation. Doshi is known to have a close relationship with the Indian master market manipulator Ketan Parekh. If you're into using your offshore or shell money to wash trade the stock market, Parekh is your go-to guy. Hindenburg reports that both Parekh and Doshi have a knack for rerouting the offshore Adani money to pump in almost 30 to 40% delivery volume in the market, enough to derail an entire day in the stock market. Plus, the network allegedly also has a string of investors that are on a handsome pay grade to pump the Adani enterprise stock. If all of these allegations are proven true, Gautam Adani is in line for a series of groundbreaking litigation in corporate history. So, what does the report mean for the future of Adani Group? Well, the company is constantly fighting off all the allegations, but against the backdrop of their highly paid legal time, the company is rattled. And that's why Hindenburg maintains that the multinational corporation should ideally count their days as one of the largest conglomerates in the world. In fact, it was a long time coming now. Those are some promising, hard-to-deliver consequences. At the end of the day, a research report is in a tussle against one of the strongest and politically charged MNCs in India. You'd think that the scales were always tipped in the favor of Gautam Adani. This isn't his first rodeo, and probably won't be the last one. What Hindenburg was able to do must have taken the Adani lawyers by surprise. A lot of legitimacy and media attention around the report was able to spook the chief market regulator of India, enough to open a top-priority, wide-scope investigation against the Adani Group. Securities and Exchange Board of India, or SEBI, isn't just sitting in the corner and waiting for Hindenburg to settle the legal score. The regulatory body is probing into the company's alleged offshore tax havens and stock manipulation practices. There's also a chance that SEBI will put strong regulatory mechanisms on the Adani Group to protect its investors from any market volatility that the investigation might open. For an Indian homegrown corporation, that's pretty bad news. But the worst was yet to come. Here's the thing. Gautam Adani was in the middle of a planned public share sale when Hindenburg decided to have a field day with the company's stock. Hitting an all-time low, the Adani companies took a $107 billion hit in February, and it took only 24 hours for the corporation to suffer a colossal market loss. Within the next few hours, Gautam Adani also lost his position in the top 10 richest men of Forbes. But that isn't the biggest concern for the Adanis. Not only did they have to axe their follow-up public offering, but their investors rapidly lost interest and trust in the corporation too. For a multinational corporation as big as this, investors require strong insulation from any systematic risk or financial losses. If they start to pull out their money from the enterprise, the corporation won't be able to keep up with its market share. Since the Adanis have their hands in pretty much every money-making sector in India, we can say Hindenburg hit them right where it hurts. And by all means, it hurts pretty bad. It isn't surprising that the Central Bank of India has alerted the local banks to reassess their exposure to any future financial losses of the conglomerate. Just like Nikola's decline in stock after the Hindenburg publication went live, the Adani Group followed suit too. If there's ever a case study about the decline of the Adani lobby in India, its plummeted share price would be highlighted as a strong tipping point. Investors aside, common people who had bought the Adani shares to make some quick cash on the side suffered too. In February, the enterprise's stock was shed by 26.7%. In fact, all of the 7 key companies of the conglomerate took some substantial hits in the opening and closing sessions in the wake of the Hindenburg Report. And it's been going downhill ever since. The chaos surrounding the MNC isn't just limited to the Indian borders. A catastrophe of this scale is widely transnational, if not global. In this case, the Adani Group is a major interest group in global stock indexing. And when you're part of an international system, regulatory bodies like MSCI will constantly revalue or reassess your stock pricing. You have global fund managers to please and invest. An explosive report by Hindenburg Research isn't going to help with that. It wasn't surprising that MSCI was quick to take note of the expose and revalue the stock of 4 key companies working under the MNC. The agency was quick to reassess the size of the free floats of the Adani companies, as the report had created doubts about the credibility of the investors. For a company that has breezed through the stock market shocks, this is a newly curated, horrifying experience. What Gautam Adani didn't expect was that a US-based research tank would end up putting them on the international fraud alert list. So it was given that the CEO has started to frame the allegations outside the realm of financial crimes. For the Adani top dog, Hindenburg is a conspiracy against the national interest of India. Even if the investors buy into that rhetoric, the investment research company has some robust evidence of short selling. Not to mention, Gautam's lawyers haven't done anything damaging to the whistleblowers. In fact, far from it. And when it comes to the matter of damage control, Adani Group is pretty much losing it. Sure, the corporation was quick to take the services of the most expensive New York firm, Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen & Katz, to sue Hindenburg. No matter what the outcome of the litigation is, the research report is still out there, and it's chaotically killing the Adani business. Enjoyed this video? Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.